Good morning.
We do have one public speaker.
Okay. I've already been informed we do have one public speaker. Mr. Henderson? Thanks.
There we go. Good morning. I don't want to take much of your time, but I do want to take this opportunity to give a very brief appreciation of our floor mate, Rocco Krasulik, who is going to be retiring as the Director of Real Estate. Oh. Rocco, and I know you're going to... And I didn't mean to steal the board's thunder, but Rocco has been immensely helpful to us at the PCAC, and has shown an interest in the broad range of issues addressing the MTA, and his work will continue to benefit the MTA and the riders for years to come. Some of the things he's done on advertising, some of the things he's done in terms of transit-oriented development, and getting the MTA on a firm foundation to move forward with that. He's always had the time for us. We'll miss his the ability to just go out and shoot the bull with him for a couple of minutes, and we will miss him. But I know he's going to be very happy and having more time to address some of the pursuits that he'd like to address. So just want to say thank you.
We have another public speaker.
Yes, we have one more public speaker, Mr. Holcomb.
Good morning. My name is Stuart Holcomb. I'm the Executive Vice President of Development for HDS Retail. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about the clarity of the tender that was offered on your item agenda number O, which is the newsstand for Grand Central Station. I just wanted to bring you a few points that weren't necessarily clarified in the agenda item. Back in June of 2008, there was a tender out for the three newsstands, MC21, MC14, and KO4. This was supposed to be submitted, proposals were submitted on July 9th. It was amended by a response from the MTA back on July 3rd for submittal on the 23rd. At that time, we submitted a proposal to the MTA that guaranteed a minimum of $2.7 million in minimum rent, with a 24% rent over that, with a CapEx or a capital investment of $1.6 million and a midterm refurbishment of $240,000. On August 12th, we were notified by the MTA staff that we were the most responsive proposer to the submittal on that. Given the fact that the incumbent as well participated in this, we were identified as having the most responsive minimum MAG. We had met with the MTA staff on several occasions, and then we were notified on October that the MTA may consider reclaiming MC14 for the use of automated ticket machines, which was fine. They were going to publicly retender the RFP back out to the street. On July 28th, we submitted a second offer to the MTA that was consistent. It was 2.7 with 24%, 1.6, and $240,000 midterm refurbishment. Ironically, our incumbents, as you see today, came in with a little bit higher.
Could you please conclude your remarks?
Okay, yes. My question here is the fact that you had an incumbent that offered you substantially less on the first go around, yet during the second opportunity they came back and they are offering you $3 million. And when you reclaim the one store, they come back and they're $31,000 over what we offered originally. I ask you for your vote today for the conscience of ethics and a fair tender process. Thank you.
Regarding that, we don't typically answer speakers as they speak. Rocco, do you want to pull the item and relook at it, or?
Well, it was a publicly offered and appropriately rated process, so I don't see a need for us to reconsider at this time.
Okay. Okay, pardon me. I seek approval for the minutes of the last meeting. All in favor? Aye, okay. Now, there are no changes to the work plan this month, and Michael will give a brief overview of the status of the construction projects, and also we have some visuals on East Side Access and the number 7 extension project.
Okay, good morning. As I previously I'll start again. Sorry. Some time ago in January, I indicated we're in the process of undertaking a comprehensive budget and schedule review, particularly for 2nd Avenue and East Side Access, and we are now at a point where we can I can really report that at the May meeting, I'll come back with a very detailed report. We have now we're working closely with both the Office of Construction Oversight, the independent engineer, and the client operating agencies. And we are near completion of this process, and now the material is being reviewed with FTA, which is the final step in the process. So FTA, we have met with them, and we are now in the process of reviewing it. And I plan to present specific detail to you at the next committee meeting, including update schedules, strategies for controlling cost and limiting delays. I would like to go straight into the various projects. South Ferry, since we met last month, the permanent canopy for the third entrance has been installed. The Pyramid Wheat Plaza contract was awarded to Tally Construction on April 16 with a notice to proceed for April 30th, and the completion targeted date is the end of the year. As noted in the committee book, the DRB, the Dispute Resolution Board, arrived at a decision regarding our dispute with the contractor over the costs associated with the grouting work. Both parties have been found partially responsible, and based on the criteria outlined in the decision, the contractor will be required to pay 40 to 50% of the total cost.
How much?
That's about $2 million. The total was 4, the claim, or about. Fulton Street Transit Center, I think we have good momentum going forward. Right now, the foundation work is moving well, and we are negotiating with right now the underpinning of the Corbin building. The bids for a number of projects are either are forthcoming or will be advertised. The AC mezzanine, we had, in fact, 12 general contractors. We have 27 vendors picking up plans, and we expect to see a good level of competition for this contract. The bids are due June 2nd. In addition, procurement documents are being prepared for the rehab of the 4-5 Street Station and construction of the Day Street Head House, and they're scheduled to be advertised in June. Just so I'm very clear about it, all the design has been completed. What we're doing right now, we are repackaging it in smaller bid packages so we get a better competitive response from the market. I'm sorry. Well, what's on top will be the building that has been originally designed, as designed. We have done a lot of work on that, and at this point, the decision, we looked at the dollars, we can afford it, we can move forward, and that will be the way to approach it.
No, that will be part of this full report we're getting next week.
That's correct.
You don't mean the full old building. You mean the modified.
The modified. I'm sorry. I should say that the modified Oculus building.
So there's a
The modified.
silver lining in this recession, I guess, with the fact we're getting more bids.
We are getting more bids. In fact, as I was going to report, we have on the east side access, we received 2 bids on 2 separate contracts that are below our estimates, and we got pretty good competition.
On Fulton Street, isn't this where we're using stimulus money,
That's correct.
and a lot of it?
That's correct.
Is that
Yes.
getting on Commissioner Frasca's point? The book says that there's been a funding strategy identified and elements are now moving forward based on that strategy. What is that strategy? Have we been looped in onto that strategy?
The total strategy will be discussed at the next month's meeting, but what we're doing right now, as you can see, it has been released, in fact, that there are $260 million from the stimulus dollars that have been released for the first 2 contracts.
I thought, I guess we'll wait till next week to find out what the funding strategy,
Month,
what the funding
that's
strategy is.
No, it will be done, one way or another. The number 7 line, and this is basically the 2 TBMs are ready to move in and start work on May 11th or thereabouts. And excavation at the lower level of the Port Authority bus terminal has been completed, and the work is progressing well. Actually, I have some really spectacular pictures, and in fact, we'd be glad to get any of the board members so we can organize a tour before we not be able to do it, because that's not going to be as easy to do it. So we expect a call to try to set up something so you can actually see what's going on. Bogdan, can you? This is actually the TBM assembly area. Can you turn off the lights or something so we can see it a little better? In the wrong spot. You need to turn them off here. Thank you. Next, Bogdan. These are the 2 TBMs ready, and you can see it's kind of very interesting. Almost looks like a launching of a satellite here. This is a picture of the head as it will progress against the rock. Now, what you see here is a picture of the ground freezing, and what you see in effect right here, there are a myriad of pipes with probes that are going into the ground and freezing the ground. And this is going to be achieved almost ready as we are speaking. That will be we have temperature probes going about 130 feet down, so that's going to be finished very, very shortly. The plant is, there is a plant next to it in which you're taking a mixture that is being circulated into the ground to freeze the ground. And the plant is actually, it's like a refrigerator, for lack of a better explanation. Well, it's a big plant that circulates cold water, a cold mixture, not water. It's an ammonia and some other stuff. Okay?
It's the damnedest thing. If you can get on the tour, it's really amazing to see.
And this is the interlocking, and the interlocking is really the place where this is in looking north into the number 7. Away from the cavern at 34th Street, and this is where the area where the 2 rails cross each other, the interlocking area. Next, now we're looking here at in the south, and you can see we are already at the bench. That means that we're in the cavern at the elevation that we want to be. Next. Now this is interesting to see, since what you see here, this is the Port Authority buses. And it's very hard to see because there's a piece of plywood when we took the picture here. Buses are actually circulating around here, and we dug down in this area, so we're able to do it while continuing the circulation of the buses. This is the liner segments. These are at the plant. These are precast liner segments that once the TBM machine goes through, they are being assembled. And that will just, in effect, line the tunnels. That's it for number 7 pictures. Terribly so. Look, I think that we owe a lot to the way the contractors are doing the work, and they're proceeding well, and then we have not encountered the problems that we have encountered in other areas. Remember, here also we are working, with the exception of the Port Authority area, in a pretty virgin territory. We don't have that many utilities. We don't have to do all of the stuff that we need to do in other areas. So that makes it easier for us to work. We can go in.
If you showed them the comparison between doing the work on Fulton Street and this, it becomes, then you see it right away, why Fulton Street's always going to be late over budget and this shouldn't be.
We have, it's a different way of working. It's a much more straightforward, whatever is in the plans, you can proceed. Very few surprises because of the way it's not such a developed area. Yes.
Michael, freezing the ground, was that to remediate the soft soil problem?
Yes. In order to be able, there is one area that we need to bore through that the soil is not rock, not solid rock. So we needed to in effect, by freezing the soil, you're creating a simulated rock, so to speak. So then you can move through and then come in and support it. So that's better than actually doing a pick and shovel, right? So, and trying to do it up. So, but it's also when you the advantage here is that we do have rock as well, so that's not that extensive. In Queens, where we'll be doing soft ground tunneling, that's a totally different story, and that's where you expect to also see additional problems when you have that. Things that you do not know, a lot of boulders that you may encounter, all kind of other things that are problematic. Second Avenue subway. The committee book reflects the adjustments within the project budget for the Second Avenue. The contract for utility relocation, open excavation, and road decking for 86th Street was advertised in March. About 30 people picked up packages, and the pre-bid tour and conference will be held were held earlier this month. And bids are due in May. Currently, I think we expect May 7 or thereabouts. We have shifted the work on the launch box to the east side of 2nd Avenue, and we have completed 5 of 23 slurry panels and 35 of the 114 Secon piles. They are not moving, again, particularly the slurry walls are not moving as fast as as the contractor said that they will. So that's an issue that we are addressing. It's a good question. I don't really have a good answer. It is primarily due to the way that the work is done. You have to do it in the middle of traffic. You have to stop traffic. The whole staging is kind of complex. They have they're digging really close to utilities and buildings. It's really a very delicate operation, to say the least. And the contractor, I guess, is working in such a way so that they will minimize their risk in doing it. So, trying not to. The piping for the 36-inch, the replacement, the water main was completed and will be turned over to DEP by the end of this month. That is in a couple of days. Yes, I will have a much more detailed explanation on that. East side access. The negotiations on the Queens tunnels are being finalized, and we expect to be able to finish that this month, so we can come back to you next month. Bids for the 44th Street vent plant and 245 Park Avenue entrance were received. There are 6 bidders, with a low bidder at $40.8 million. That's we had about 42 and change as our estimate, so that's a good thing. And the Harold Structure Part 2 contract that were received on April 23rd, there were 5 bidders, with a low bidder being about 21.8, again below estimate.
Michael, this may not be your bailiwick, but is there any sort of an update on what's going on with the third track?
With the third track, where? Number 7?
Long Island Railroad project.
No, it's not.
That's not
no.
your deal?
No.
Okay. And the answer is nothing?
That's the Long Island Railroad. Okay, I wasn't sure which one you're talking about.
Okay. Any questions?
I'm sorry, and the Northern Boulevard Crossing RFP is due in May, about May 7, in the next, I think a week after next. And we also have some pictures on the east side access that I would like to share with you. Can you just try to shut off the lights, the same one? Yes? Thank you. Go to the next one, because that's okay. Here is the this is the excavation of the cavern here, just under Grand Central Station, and you'll see the 2 tunnels right there. And this is a closer shot of the 2 tunnels going each one in one direction, and this is where we are ready to push in. Here is this is where this is the concrete plug removal that took place, and these are the first and second TBM drives that are going in. So this is really set up for that. That's kind of. Yes, in this area, yes, absolutely. That's why what happened is that we put in a concrete plug to simulate rock, and then we went in because we came in from one side and we're going to the other side. Yes. That's about it.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I will organize a tour and everyone will be notified for number 7. We'll, absolutely. Now that I can walk, we'll do that.
We know you can talk.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's for
so-
sure.
Yes, thank you. There is a modification proposed to the East Side Access Dragados-Judlow contract for $3.3 million, primarily associated with new mini pile work. There is a modification to the Fulton design contract with Ove Arup for $1.9 million associated with repackaging contract packages, and a proposed modification on 2nd Avenue Subway's S3 tunnel construction project for $870,000 associated with DEP equipment requirements.
Were we able to negotiate it
All of these modifications have been negotiated, and on Fulton as well. We're within the range of our estimate.
Questions? I know it's painful. I said in the pre-meeting with we're spending money to try to save money, so it's. But hopefully, the end result will be a net major savings. Any questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Nancy,
Thank you.
Nancy, I'm voting no on the Fulton Street ratification. Not on any reason, or I'm sure it was done completely accurate. It probably saved a whole lot of money. But on this Fulton Street, this has been the 3rd month in a row where, if I read this, we're borrowing from some construction support fund. There's a financial strategy. There were decisions made on stimulus dollars on Fulton Street that this committee has never seen nor participated in. That might be entirely appropriate. And in fact, I'm sure this contract was entirely appropriate and saved money. But until there's a funding strategy, I don't feel comfortable voting on anything for Fulton Street until we get that information. So I hope that next month we get that. We get a full briefing of how we're going to pay for it, why the decisions were made, how they were made, and what we're using the stimulus dollars for.
Will we be getting that next month? Anthony, will we?
Expect to do so.
Okay. Okay, so everyone votes yes, except there's one no.
So noted.
Okay.
We
And
also have an action item this month, as you mentioned, which is for, on East Side Access, it's a request for authorization to proceed with engineering and construction agreements for 2 buildings that are adjacent to what will be the 50th Street ventilation and ancillary facility building for East Side Access, where we will be putting some East Side Access facilities on or adjacent to these structures, and need to work with the building owners to get this work done.
Sorry, just to refresh the board's memory, we did handle some of this through real estate.
These are related to easements that you've previously approved, yes.
Okay, question? May someone move it, please?
Move it.
All in favor? So moved.
Thank you.
Okay, there's an information item. It's the final 2008 budget results, and we came in $4 million less than projected. Okay. Now, how do I move over to Rocco for the last time? It's kind of, I don't know if it was a sign or whatever, but when I was given the job, this very high-paying job to chair this committee, I received a call like 5 minutes apart, one from Peter Calico and then one from Jim Simpson, about how much I am going to learn and enjoy working with Rocco. Learn from and enjoy working with Rocco. And then this morning, and Jim Simpson has moved on to bigger and better things and left the city and lives in Washington. And this morning I'm standing on Park Avenue and 60-something, and who do I see but Jim Simpson? And it's all sort of come full circle now with Rocco leaving. I know this will also be discussed at the full board meeting, but for those of you that don't realize this, especially to the newer board members, he leaves after 35 years of service, and he has brought in excess of $200 million in revenue to the MTA. And that is from the retail rents and licenses. He manages 4,000 properties, also in terms of advertising, telecommunications, and fiber optic installations. He has saved the MTA a considerable amount of money. He also has been sort of the person in almost every committee that they go to for advice, for just an honest answer on how a project is going to be handled, how a lease is going to be drawn up. David Mack and I were talking about it one day, and David Mack said, I don't think there is a real estate mogul in the New York metropolitan area that wouldn't kill to have Rocco as part of his senior staff. Your legacy of success here, and I'm sure in your private life as well, is hard to match. And I don't know if you're sad you're leaving, but I'm sad you're leaving. And he's off to Croatia, allegedly. And
he's going to rebuild over Croatia. That's his next job. You need his help.
Yeah. But, I mean, I know I keep talking about it, just one more moment. Like, even when I first started this committee, and there's something sort of trivial, but just looking at the month-to-month leases at GCT, and I said, Rocco, I know just from which is embarrassing, my real estate experience compared to yours, but I said, we need to get these people on more permanent leases. And the list went from pages long to just a portion of a page. I mean, everything you ask Rocco to do or get involved in, it doesn't just get handled, it gets handled correctly, and you learn something from it. So I know I sound a little loquacious this morning, but I'm really serious about how I feel about you on many levels, Rocco. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
I'm not blushing, so you're all right.
Thank you very much for the kind words. Just for a moment, if I may, you mentioned my background. Growing up many years ago on a small island off the coast of Croatia and tending to my sheep and taking care of my boat, I certainly never dreamed that a country very far away would offer me and my family an opportunity that it had. And certainly we're blessed. There is no better place in the world than this country of ours, and I truly will forever be indebted to it and do all I can to make it proud of me being here. And I thank you again for your very kind words.
We move on to the real estate portion of the meeting. And how many items are there to?
Commissioner, we have
got very nervous all of a sudden.
we have 19 action items. If I may just briefly address also the speaker at this time.
The speaker, the public
previously,
speaker.
yeah.
I'd like you to.
Yeah, we had, as we are aggressively marketing Grand Central Terminal, as we mentioned to the committee some time ago, we offered a number of locations in a single package in the summer. And yes, there were two responsible proposers. However, as we received the proposal and started to analyze them, Metro North approached the department and asked that we consider offering one of those locations to the agency for its corporate use. That wasn't something that we were aware prior to the offering, so we needed to, the best course of action we collectively thought was to reoffer the package and making that particular information noted to all of those who are interested. And it's correct that the speaker was a member of the responsible group. When the proposal was yet again offered on the street, both respondents replied to the offering, and the incumbent in the second offering did offer higher in terms of compensation, both in terms of the existing locations and in terms of if one of the locations that we pointed to was recaptured by Metro North. Our fiduciary responsibility is to review these offers and recommend to the committee and the board the best offer that we have in front of us, and that's what we did. That's what we do have guideposts that we have to follow, whether it's the public authorities law or the lobbying law, which clearly set standards how we behave, and I believe that we behaved appropriately in light of those guideposts.
Okay.
Was there a best and final process involved in all of this, or is that not?
Commissioner, these offers, I must tell you, are extremely ambitious in terms of the compensation. We felt that to push these proposals to even higher level may be irresponsible on our part in this economic condition. In fact, both proposals are offering participation fees that are very uncommon. 24% is not a common participation fee in these sort of agreements at all. So that's why we did not want to be a party to a potential non-performance for inability to meet a financial obligation.
Okay. I move the action items.
But we're losing Little Pine Company.
That's correct, Commissioner. Well, we are getting a good vendor instead. We are getting a good vendor instead.
We now have to, I'm sorry, Mark? Commissioner LeBeau?
Can I just congratulate you, Rocco, on the Tremont Avenue thing? I know that was not easy and required a lot of work, but it was for the benefit of the MTA. It takes down that derelict thing that's been there for so long.
Yes, it has.
The partnership with Phipps was really quite courageous, I think, to put up moderate-income housing there. And I know it took a lot of time, and you really ought to be congratulated, and Peter ought to be congratulated for everything he did with that, too.
And the city was instrumental in partnership in that regard.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay, we have to now move, pardon me.
Before I forget, I'd like you to do one thing for this board before you leave. Once a month, or once every other month, we get a politician that stands up and says in front of 347 and says, sell the building, you can make a lot of money. And we go through the math. I would like you to send a letter to everybody on the board explaining why that doesn't hold true, so that everybody can put it in his or her file. And so when it comes up again, which it will, they can pull it out and at least have some basis so we don't have to go chasing around. And the other thing I like to do is every other month we get somebody to come and says, you've got all this great real estate to sell. Why aren't you selling it? What are you holding on to? So I'd like letters to go on the file again to all these people explaining why that isn't true.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to share with that memo a request I just received last week from one of our agencies requesting to purchase a parcel of land to expand a very needed storage facility. In that request, there was an additional note. it pointed to this particular parcel that we had to acquire having been sold by the agency in 1958.
Wow.
Okay. But,
Even I wasn't born then.
yeah,
Hardly.
So we have to be very diligent in
but
our...
I think there's a general question that always comes up over and over and over again, and it is hard to answer. And so let's just start at the beginning. And you've done a lot of work with that. So I'd like everybody on the board to have those two letters as general explanations on file so that when we get the question, we can pull it out and basically answer it. Because it must come up every other month. You know, you get some young person who wants to run for city council and they stand in front of the building saying, sell the building. And, you know, we all know, and you know particularly that doesn't work, but I'd like to have it around. Remind everybody it doesn't work. And the same thing with anything else you can think of that's kind of vintage like that, that you can use over and over again.
It will be done.
We don't want to lose. We don't want to lose all your historic knowledge.
It will be done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now we have a real estate matter that needs to be discussed in executive session.
Oh, my goodness.
I move we go into executive session. Okay.
Sorry, guys. How many times?